this event, we wanted you to have the opportunity to hear from some of your peers. We've already heard two great testimonies tonight, just a little bit down the road in college life, which is its own animal. But we wanted you guys to be able to hear from people that go to school with you every day and experience the same things you do. So I have two fantastic young individuals with me who have agreed, somewhat begrudgingly, one of them, to do this tonight. And so I'm going to ask them some questions. They're going to answer, and hopefully in their answers you'll find something that you maybe can relate to, something that maybe speaks to you. And so we'll start over here. Just tell them your name, your grade, what you do here at the school, sports, activities.
My name is Riggs Arterberry. I'm a senior at Ponder High School, and I play basketball and tennis.
My name is Sarah Wilkinson. I'm a senior, and I do cheer and tennis.
All right, so Riggs, let's start with this question. When did you give your life to Christ, and what was that moment like for you?
Well, growing up, I grew up in like a Christian household, you could say. I was always surrounded by church and parents that knew Christ, and I wouldn't consider myself close to God, like up until last summer. And last summer, I went to a church camp, and I made the decision to give my life to Christ.
When did you give your life to Christ, and what was that moment like for you?
So very similar to Riggs, I grew up in a Christian home, and so the idea of God was always there, and I always went to church and all that, and I was at a VBS when I was 8, and it was just like an indescribable feeling, with just when you know, and I knew it was kind of the time to start.
Well, I'll switch it up this time because you kind of led into our next question, which is when you gave your life to Christ, what prompted you, or what was the reason that you thought this is something that I need to do?
So what kind of led me to answer why I needed God in my life is I grew up in a church, and so I just got to watch so many people be impacted by God. And one of the big ones for me was my dad. I just saw the joy he had, the compassion for others he had, and seeing how God alone gave him those just emotions and ability. It was something that I wanted to experience as well.
Riggs, what about you? I was there last summer. I remember kind of the night that was happening. So when you think back about why you felt called to make that decision, what sticks out to you?
Well, for me, it was the day before, and we were eating in this cafeteria, and this youth, pastor at the camp we were at, he was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, "What age were you when you got saved?" And my friend said 13 or something. And I was thinking to myself, and I was like, man, if this dude asked me what age I was when I got saved, I don't know what to tell him, and that's going to be really awkward. So later that night, it was the last night before we went home, and the preacher, he asked who wants to be saved, and before I knew it, I was standing up, and I was like, wow, I guess this is just God calling me. Sounds like I really need it.
Just before I knew it, I was just standing up. That's kind of sounds like you before you knew it. God works like that sometimes. So I'll ask you a last question, second to last question. When you think about your life now and how Christ has changed you, in what ways has your relationship with Christ impacted your life? Specifically as a high school student, maybe things that you deal with in high school. How has Christ changed your perspective on life or helped you in those ways?
Just a lot of stuff with sports, he's just really helped me to stay positive, no matter what's happening in the day. Might not have the best game or the best practice, but I know God is always with me and can keep me positive.
Sorry, same question for you.
For me, I would say it has a lot to do with my confidence and where I seek my validation from. I think there's a lot of times high school can get cliquey, and so you kind of want validation from a certain group, from a certain people. And so knowing their validation doesn't matter because I'm not here to be a part of the world, but to follow God.
Absolutely. Last question I'll give to both of you. If there's somebody maybe here that's on the edge of giving their life to Christ, considering it, not really sure if they should do that or not, if you could tell them one thing to kind of push them over the edge and encourage them, what would it be?
I'll just say there's a lot of people that are very welcoming that you can talk to, and we have a great youth ministry that you can come out to, and just a lot of people that will welcome you into your journey with Christ.
Sorry.
For me, I would just say the peace and joy and not happiness but straight like joy is definitely worth it. The feelings that you'll receive.
Thank you guys for sharing. I'm so proud of you. I will say one thing about before they sit down. If you are on the edge of your seat trying to decide if I want to give my life to Christ or not, I will tell you that I have had the pleasure of watching these two young people walk with Christ, and the way that their lives change daily is so exciting. And to watch them be unbothered by the world, by the things that happen to them, it's beautiful. So if I know high school is hard, it's tough, you deal with all kinds of things, and you have so much identity crisis going on, but there are not two steadier high school students that I've seen in my life than these two right here. So if that sounds enticing to you or interesting to you, then I hope what they've shared with you tonight has been impactful for you. So just think about that as a band leads us in our next song, and I'll encourage you just to respond accordingly. Oh, one more. I'm sorry.